The Canadiens had won their first Stanley Cup in the middle of the First World War. But by the 20s, Lalonde was past his prime. Team owner Léo Dandurand needed a scorer to complement his great goalie, Georges Vézina. And he'd heard of a man out west named Aurel Joliat. It was the fall of 1922. Montreal convinced the NHL to let Joliat return from exile and traded Lalonde to Saskatoon to get him. And as fate would have it, the Canadiens' first exhibition game was against their old star's new team. Montreal was still the Paris of hockey. Saskatoon was not. And Newsy Lalonde wanted revenge.
But anyway, I made one rush up the ice, and wasn't in condition yet. I was puffing pretty hard, you know. Lalonde edged over, you know, and he gave it to me right here. And the first thing I knew, I was laying flat on the ice, out cold as a cucumber. There were quite a few guys that could hit with the stick in those days. Don't forget, you had to keep ducking a few times.
Since the time of Lalonde and Joliat, few names in any field have meant so much as the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Forum. What La Scala is to opera, the Louvre to fine art, that's what this place is to hockey. And seldom has it seen more dramatic events than those inspired by the Canadiens' first great star, Howie Morenz. He really wasn't a flying Frenchman at all, Morenz. He was from a small town in Ontario where they called him the Stratford Streak. At the age of 20, the Canadiens paid a $45 tailor's bill, and Morenz came to Montreal to play center for Aurel Joliat.
He was a marvelous hockey player. Instinctively marvelous hockey player. It was a picnic to play with Morenz. I remember playing games with Morenz. I walked off the ice after playing 60 minutes. Felt like going out and playing another game. Marvelous, you know, so fast. God. Yeah.
Howie Morenz became the best hockey player of his generation. He and Joliat were hard-living, hard-playing men who were together for 12 years and won 3 Stanley Cups. If it weren't for him, said Morenz, they wouldn't write so much about me.
It worked out very good for a while, until Morenz had his leg broken in this game.
It was early in the new year of 1937. Morenz and Joliat were aging, but Montreal was still fighting for first place. 6 days after this dressing room picture, Howie Morenz and the Canadiens played Chicago at the Forum.
He made one of his famous rushes, and he went to turn and he skidded and he ended up, and his right foot went right into the end boards and it stuck there, you see. And this big guy playing defense for Chicago, Earl Seibert, fell on his leg right there. You'd think he'd have done it on purpose. No kidding.
Morenz's leg was broken in 4 places. The doctors said he was through for the season. But no one could guess what would happen next.
Finally, I come back from Boston, went up to see him, and he was in a stupor. He was, well, to tell you the truth, I said, this isn't Morenz at all. He had faded away. In about 10 days' time, he'd, tell you the truth, I didn't know. Unbelievable.
Howie Morenz never returned to the Montreal Canadiens. 40 days after the game against Chicago, he got out of his hospital bed, tried to walk, collapsed, and died. He was only 34. The city of Montreal was in shock. Howie Morenza's body was taken to the Forum so his fans could say goodbye.
Well, it was quite an impressive sight, all right. You know, 15,000 people. It was very, very quiet, nevertheless, in the Forum, where Morenz played his best hockey and thrilled the thousands of people over the years. He told me one time, he said, whenever I can't play hockey, he says, I'd just as soon be dead. Yeah, I remember him telling me that. Yeah.
Howie Morenz is not the only ghost to haunt the Montreal Forum. There are the spirits of countless playoffs past, uncounted cups to come, and of the man whose name and number are the greatest legend hockey has ever known.
La rondelle est mise au jeu. Émile Bouchard reçoit la rondelle à la ligne bleue. Il entre vers le filet de Broda, le disque est pris par Stewart, qui à son tour lance le caoutchouc à la ligne bleue. Et c'est Blake qui reçoit la rondelle. Passe à Martel. Martel à Richard. Richard lance. Et goal! Maurice Richard! Et maintenant 3-2 pour le Canadien. Alors qu'il ne reste plus que 14 secondes à jouer en troisième période. Maurice Richard.
We all wore the same costume as Maurice Richard did. The red, white, and blue costume of the Montreal Canadiens, the best hockey team in the world.